In example 12B, we want to know out of the standard 52 card deck, how many 5-card hands consist entirely of face cards, okay? As soon as you see that phrase, hands, okay, or actually I should say word, hands, you know that this is going to be a combination, okay? So I'm going to write down the combination symbol, okay, and you're dealing with now a 5-card hand, okay? So from some greater set, you're going to be choosing 5 cards, okay? So remember what I explained to you in part A, okay? Yes, you're playing with a 52 card deck, okay? But if you put a 52 here, this is going to compute the total number of all possible 5-card hands, okay? And I'll go ahead and do that, okay? So if I do 52, choose 5, okay? This is how many 5-card hands are possible from the standard 52 card deck. Okay, so let me go write that down. Okay, again, this is not the answer to part B, okay, but I do want to go over this just so you can see the difference with the actual answer. Okay, so here we go. Put my commas. So there's 2,598,960 possible 5-card hands, okay, with no restrictions, okay? But part B is still dealing with a 5-card hand, but there is a restriction. You want to count only the hands that have face cards, okay? So remember what face cards means, okay? Your cards have to have a face. So if you look at the deck of cards here, okay, remember where your face cards are, okay? It's the guys with faces. So jacks, queens, and kings, okay? These are the face cards, okay? So instead of, that greater set that we're pulling from is not going to be the entire deck of cards. We want to make sure that the hand we're dealt consists only of face cards. So that greater set that we're pulling the 5 cards from, okay, has to come from this set of face cards. Okay, so if you count the total number of face cards here, there's 3 face cards per suit, there's 4 suits, so there's 12 total face cards. Okay, so to count the number of all possible 5-card hands consisting entirely of face cards, it's still going to be a combination because you're going to be dealt this hand. The hand is still going to contain 5 cards, but the greater set that you're pulling from is just the face cards, which is a group of 12 cards, okay? So this is how you're going to compute the total number of all possible 5-card hands consisting entirely of face cards. Okay, so we'll go pop that in the calculator, okay? And again, we've put a severe restriction on our 5-card hands, okay? So since this number represents the total number of all possible 5-card hands, we expect the number we're about to compute to be much smaller, okay? So let's go get it. Okay, so we're going to do 12, and we're going to go, we're going to go choose, whoops, I keep hitting the wrong button. We're going to go choose 5. Oops, let me just start this over. So we're going to do 12, choose 5. Okay, so there we go. All right, so you only get 792 possible 5-card hands that consist entirely of face cards, okay? That number is much smaller than 2,598,960, okay? All right, so hopefully you're getting the hang of this to see how it works. Okay, so in part C, okay, we need to compute how many 5-card hands consist entirely of queens. Okay, so part B also dealt with 5-card hands. Okay, We know how many total possible 5-card hands there are in general with no restrictions. Okay, the 2,598,960. Okay, so what we're looking at, because now we're putting a restriction on the 5-card hand, we expect a number much smaller. Okay, so here we go. Okay, we're going to be dealt a hand, so it's going to be a combination. Okay, our combination is going to have 5 cards in it because we're being dealt a 5-card hand. Okay, but we have to restrict. Okay, we are not going to pull from the entire deck because the restriction now is our cards have to, the hand has to consist entirely of queens. Okay, so we need to go look at our deck of cards. Okay, and we need to look at the greater set that we're pulling from. Okay, you're only going to be pulling to ensure that your hand consists entirely of queens. You're only going to be pulling from the set of all queens. Okay, so if we look at this, okay, there are a total of 4 queens in the deck. Okay, so this is this greater set that we're pulling from. Okay, so from the greater set of 4 cards, all the queens, we're picking 5 of them. That might sound a bit odd. Let's go to the calculator and do this. So 4 choose 5, okay, and you get 0, okay. Let's think about why this is. Okay, does this make sense? Okay, so this is saying there are no hands of cards, no 5-card hands that can possibly consist of entirely queens. Why? Okay, you're using one deck of cards. Okay, so remember, if you look at the very top, it says from a standard 52 card deck. Okay, so a standard 52 deck only has 4 queens. So how can you have a 5-card hand with all queens? Because that would imply there would have to be a 5th queen, which there's not. Okay, so the answer here is indeed 0. That makes sense. Okay, all right, let's try another one. All right, so now we're going to bump it up to 7-card hands. Okay, we want to know how many 7-card hands contain 4 kings. Okay, so again, I'm going to do what I've been doing with these other examples. We know we're being dealt a hand of cards. It's going to be a combination. We're being dealt a hand of 7 cards, so that's going to be our R value. Okay, I'm going to first look at all possible 7-card hands. Okay, so I'm going to do 52 choose 7, and this is going to give us the number of all possible 7-card hands. Okay, with no restrictions. Okay, because you're choosing 7 cards from the entire deck, no restrictions. Okay, so let's go here. I'll go ahead and clear this out. Let's do 52 choose 7. Okay, so again, a very large number. Okay, so let's go ahead and jot this down. All right, so go back to our notes. Okay, I'll put this number right here. Okay, that is going to be, oops, I did not catch the number. Let me just write it down. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so there we go. Let me put some commas on here. So there we go. We have 133,784,560 possible 7-card hands with no restrictions. Okay, but in part D, what we're trying to answer, we want to know how many 7-card hands are possible that contain 4 kings. Okay, so let's think about this. Okay, so you're going to have a combination, definitely. Okay, you got to be careful here. It is a 7-card hand. Okay, and all 7 cards, when you set this up, all 7 cards have to be accounted for. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We know the restriction here is that we have to have 4 kings. Okay, if you go back and we look at the deck of cards, okay, let me erase this from the last time. We know that the deck of cards has exactly 4 kings. Okay, So what this is saying, okay, in your 7-card hand, it is a requirement that you have all the kings in the deck, okay? So that is 4 of the 7 cards. You still have to account for the other 3, okay? So this is what we're going to do to solve this problem, okay? I'm going to make 2 blanks, okay? The first blank is going to be to handle the 4 kings. And then the other blank is going to be to handle the 3 remaining cards, okay? Because you kind of want to think of it this way. You have to make sure that the 4 kings are chosen, and then you still have 3 more cards to choose, okay? So this is how we're going to handle this, and we're going to multiply these guys together, okay? Let's talk about the kings first, okay? We need to make sure that we choose all the kings in our hand. We end up with all 4 kings, okay? So choosing the kings, okay, it's going to be a combination because that's what happens when we're dealing with hands of cards. Okay, it's going to be a combination. If we're just looking at selecting the kings, okay, we're choosing all 4 kings to be in our hand. Okay, what is this greater set that these kings are coming from? Well, to ensure that you get all the kings, you have to, the greater set is going to be the set of all the kings. Okay, well, there are only 4 kings. Okay, so the way you want to think about it, okay, from the 4 kings, you're choosing all 4. Okay, so that's how you're going to handle the kings, and that's going to ensure you get all 4 of them in your hand. Okay, so again, there are 7 cards total in the hand. Only 4 of them are kings. You still have to deal with the other 3. If you stopped right now and did this computation, if you did 4, choose 4, okay, you get 1. That can't possibly be the answer, okay? There has to be more. Oops. Hello, I have lost my, there we go. There has to be more than 1 7-card hand containing all 4 kings, okay? So if you did that and you didn't think about the 3 remaining cards, hopefully a light bulb would go off and it would dawn on you that that cannot be correct, okay? So we've dealt with the 4 kings. Let's move on and deal with the 3 remaining cards, okay? We are still dealing with a hand of cards, so it's going to be a combination, and we are going to choose the 3 remaining cards, okay? But what is this greater set that the 3 cards are coming from? Okay, well, let's go take a look at our deck of cards, okay? We've already taken care of all the kings, okay? They're already in our hand, okay? So the remaining 3 cards have to come from the rest of the deck, okay? Well, how many cards are those? Well, it's going to be 52 cards total minus the 4 kings that we've taken out. That's 48 cards that are left that we can choose the 3 remaining cards from, okay? So this number right here is going to be 48, okay? So we need to do these 2 combinations, calculate them, and then multiply them together. We've already done 4 choose 4. That's a 1. So now I need to go compute 48 choose 3. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to go back to my calculator. This is going to be 48. And we're going to go choose 3. Okay, there we go. Okay, so 17,296. Okay, so that is our answer. Okay, so this is going to be the number of possible 7-card hands containing 4 kings. Okay, and you can compare this smaller number to this larger number. Okay, this number right here, that's the number of all possible 7-card hands. Okay, so we expect that number to be much higher than this number, which has the 7-card hands, but with a huge restriction on it. The 7-card hands, each one has to contain all 4 kings. Okay, so there's 17,296 possible 7-card hands containing all 4 kings.